I accompanied my wife to the hospital for her prenatal checkup, and there I ran into my former brother-in-law, whom I hadn't seen for a long time. He glanced at me and, just like before, started blaming me. At your age, you're still pulling disappearing acts? Can't you be a little more responsible and stop making my sister worry all the time? But maybe he forgot. A year ago, my mother was gravely ill. Her only wish was to see me married with a child. I put everything on the line and proposed to Serafina, but on the wedding day, I waited from morning till night, only to receive a 30-second voice recording. I won't be coming to the wedding, and I won't marry you. This is your punishment for bullying Mickey. My mother was so infuriated by Serafina's reckless behavior that she had a heart attack and passed away. After handling my mother's funeral, I erased all traces of myself when I left City C with the little I had left. Serafina was still out skiing abroad with Mickey to unwind, and now he dares to tell me. My sister has spent most of every month flying around to look for you. She's lost nearly 20 pounds off her 100-pound frame within a year. She's been waiting for you all this time, Ethan. Now that you're back, live well with my sister. I lowered my head with a faint smile, raising my hand with the wedding ring on it. Sorry, I like to keep things low-key. I already got married without holding a big ceremony, so I didn't notify you. Chapter 1. Ethan, do you even know my sister almost went insane looking for you this past year? You almost cost a life back then. My sister skipped the wedding to clean up your mess, and then you just walked away. 8 years of relationship thrown away just like that. He blocked my way. I had just come back from the parking lot, looking down at my phone to reply to my wife's message. Saul Jean, dressed in his white doctor's coat, stood in front of me. After a moment of surprise, he started questioning me. A year apart, yet the deep-rooted arrogance of the Jean family in his bones hadn't faded one bit. Back then, it was Serafina who was too timing, yet in his words, it became all my fault. Honestly, hearing Serafina's name again didn't stir much in me. It was like brushing against a scalding cup. 2 seconds of pain, then nothing left at all. I looked indifferently at the endlessly chattering Saul and calmly spoke. Serafina and I broke up a year ago. What you're saying has nothing to do with me. Saul froze slightly, his gaze filled with disbelief, blurting out, everyone in the circle knows you're my sister's watchdog. You never did anything else except cling to her, terrified that another man might get close to her. How could you possibly let her go? With those eyes that resembled Serafina's by 60%, he looked down on me with disdain, as if staring at a stray dog with no home. That look, during the past 8 years, I endured it every single day. Serafina was the daughter of a prestigious family of doctors, while I was just a boy from a single-parent household in the slums. When I decided to pursue Serafina, everyone mocked me for being a toad lusting after a swan. Later, when Serafina finally accepted me, they changed their tune, saying I was nothing but a simp, betting on how soon Serafina would dump me. Some bet a week, some bet a month, some bet 3 months, but no one expected that I'd end up staying by Serafina's side for 8 whole years. Chapter 2. At the beginning of our 8th year of dating, Serafina's career became unusually busy, yet in the few text messages we exchanged each day, another man's name kept appearing. I asked Serafina if she had eaten, and she said her junior fellow had brought her food. It was very spicy. I asked if she wanted to watch a movie, and she replied that everyone was going out to celebrate her junior fellow's paper being published. Later, when I got sick, I asked if she could spare some time to come back home. She said her junior fellow had messed up an experiment and was being scolded, so she had to stay behind to handle the aftermath. From those words, I sensed a subtle atmosphere. Soon enough, my intuition was confirmed. On our fixed monthly date, I managed to get tickets to Serafina's favorite concert, but during that rare time together, Serafina kept lowering her head to reply to messages. I felt upset, but then thought about how hard she had been working, so I told myself not to mind. I asked softly, "Who keeps bothering you even on your day off?" Serafina answered casually, "Mickey copied my experiment and messed up the data. He's asking me about it." Mickey, that junior fellow of Serafina's. I didn't even know what I was feeling at that moment, only that it was such a pity. Tickets I had worked so hard to get, and neither of us really watched the concert. On the way back, Serafina again pulled out her phone to text. I couldn't stand it anymore and covered her phone with my hand. Serafina frowned at me. I looked straight at her and, in a joking tone, said, You already missed 2 of our monthly date nights. I finally managed to see you, but you're still glued to your phone. You keep mentioning your junior fellow. I'm getting jealous." When I said that, I thought Serafina would laugh it off and maybe stop bringing him up so often, but I never expected those words to anger her. Her face instantly turned cold. "Ethan, when did you become so sex-obsessed?" "I'm just helping him grow faster, that's all." After that night, Serafina started a cold war with me. She stopped replying to my messages altogether. On the 3rd day of silence, I received a text from her. "No appetite. Cook me something light and bring it to the lab." To me, this looked like a sign of reconciliation, so I took leave from work and went straight to the market to buy groceries. The moment the food was ready, I rushed to deliver it to the lab, but when I opened the door, I saw Serafina squatting in front of a man, gently massaging his leg. That cold, aloof voice I had praised countless times was now incredibly tender. "How is it feeling?" "Better. Much better, senior sister." The sight made my head feel like it was exploding. Countless thoughts surged up, choking me with pain. The guy suddenly looked up, quickly pulling away from Serafina, embarrassed. "Senior sister, stop. Someone's here." Only then did Serafina notice me standing at the door. She stood up, frowning. "Ethan, this is the lab. Why didn't you knock?" Expressionless, I gave a mocking laugh. If I had knocked, I wouldn't have seen what just happened. The guy stood next to Serafina, stuck his tongue out, and muttered an explanation. "Brother, you misunderstood. I had a cramp and couldn't keep working. Senior sister was just helping me massage it." Serafina walked over to me, reaching for the lunchbox. "We're short-staffed right now. Mickey isn't feeling well and has no appetite. He hasn't eaten yet. Just give me the food." She said it lightly, as if it was the most natural thing in the world, but all I could do was laugh at myself, realizing I was nothing but a clown. The stabbing pain in my chest made me blurt out, "His leg hurts, so you kneel down to massage it? He has no appetite, so you end the Cold War by asking me to cook for him? Serafina, since when have you been so considerate towards someone else?" I thought I was shouting with all my heart, but my voice came out hoarse, barely audible. Serafina, on the other hand, didn't think she was wrong at all. She replied, "Mickey is an irreplaceable member of our team. If he's in good condition, our research can move forward faster. Can you stop forcing your complicated notions about men and women onto us?" I looked at her deeply, then turned to leave with the lunchbox in hand. That meal, I'd rather feed it to a dog. But the next second, Serafina yanked the lunchbox out of my hands. I stumbled, fell hard to the ground with the food. 2 hours of carefully prepared dishes turned into a pile of garbage. Serafina's face darkened as she scolded coldly. "Causing a scene like this in the middle of the day? Are you satisfied now?" I knelt silently on the ground. Shards of porcelain cut into my palms, blood running across my hands. She froze for a moment, instinctively reaching out to help me up, but I pushed her hand away, forced myself up through the pain, and walked out without looking back. Chapter 3. After that, Serafina sent me a few messages. I didn't reply, and she didn't send any more. There was a week left until my birthday. I thought I would be spending it alone this year, but close to midnight, Serafina showed up in the pouring rain with a cake. She put a gift watch on my wrist and sincerely said, "What happened that day was my fault. I didn't give you enough security, which made you so anxious and uneasy. Don't worry. When this project ends, I'll bring up our marriage to my family." In 8 years of dating, it was the first time she ever gave me such a promise. I started counting the days, waiting in anticipation for the long-awaited wedding. But later, I realized the day would never come. After reconciling with Serafina, she came home every evening after work, and we enjoyed our little world together. That lasted for 2 weeks before Serafina threw herself back into her busy job. One night, I was out entertaining clients with my boss. When the dinner ended, I spotted Serafina and Mickey eating together in a corner of the restaurant. Before I even got close, I heard Serafina speak slowly. "This meal is to thank you for your advice. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to soothe him. He used to be obedient and understanding. He was never like this before. Honestly, that day I dragged you into trouble." Mickey suddenly looked up in my direction, grinning. He raised 3 fingers to Serafina. "Senior sister, I heard you've been with Ethan for 8 years. Why aren't you married yet? Do you really still love Ethan? I don't want to see you spend your life with someone you don't love, and I don't like that you're wasting Ethan's youth either." Guy's youth is just as important, you know. Tell me. I promise I won't tell anyone else. I froze in my tracks. Then Serafina stayed silent for a few seconds before speaking softly. A dish, no matter how delicious, after eating it for years, you'll get tired of it. But if you suddenly cross it off the menu, I can't bring myself to let go. Let's just leave it at that. In that instant, it felt like cotton was stuffed into my chest, suffocating me. I walked straight to Serafina, picking up a glass from the table. When she saw me, she instinctively put her hand in front of Mickey. Ethan, what are you doing here? Were you following me? Watching her movements, hearing her accusations, my heart throbbed painfully again. I couldn't bear it anymore. I poured the glass of alcohol over Serafina's head. The surrounding diners were drawn to the scene, stealing glances. Mickey, distressed, quickly wiped Serafina's face. Ethan, no matter what, you can't treat senior sister like this. I ignored Mickey's fake concern and stubbornly stared at Serafina. She gently pushed Mickey aside, wiped her face, and spoke in an icy voice. Ethan, no wonder you have no friends. No wonder no one wants to be near you. With this kind of temper, who could tolerate you? The glass slipped from my hand and shattered on the floor. I had never imagined Serafina would one day scold me for another man's sake. Nor had I imagined she would take my painful memories and turn them into a blade against me. When I was young, my father cheated and then drowned in the sea with his mistress. My mother, with her frail shoulders, raised me on her own. But growing up poor in a single-parent family with parents working ordinary jobs became the source of my bullying. After school, I was locked in the bathroom as a cruel prank. Serafina appeared before me like a goddess, saving me. As she passed me, she said, "Don't blame yourself for other people's mistakes." But now she had torn apart those very words herself. Looking at Serafina, my tears suddenly fell, streaming uncontrollably. But without even sparing me a glance, she left the restaurant with Mickey. Chapter 4. On my way back, I received a call from the hospital. I learned that my mother's condition had worsened. She had already been rushed into the emergency room. I couldn't afford to grieve. I told the driver to turn around and sped to the hospital. My mother temporarily escaped danger, but the doctor said that episodes like tonight's would keep happening, and my mother probably had only 1 month left to live. I stayed by her hospital bed, my eyes swollen from crying. My mother gently stroked my hair, just as she always had. "Son, don't cry. It's a good thing. If Mom goes, then I won't be a burden on you anymore. My only regret is not being able to see you get married and start a family." I wiped my tears, held her hand tightly, and said with all seriousness, "Serafina already promised to marry me. I was planning to tell you the good news in a few days. Mom, don't worry. I'll make sure you get to see me marry with your own eyes." Leaving the hospital, I immediately called Serafina. No matter what had happened between us before, all I hoped was that this time she would cooperate with me. But I didn't know then, this was a decision I would regret for the rest of my life. As soon as she picked up, I rushed to speak. "Serafina, let's get married sooner. My mom's condition has worsened. I want her to leave this world peacefully." On the other end, Serafina stayed silent, saying nothing. A sinking feeling hit my heart. My voice trembled. "Serafina, you don't want to?" She didn't answer me. Instead, she asked a different question. "Do you know Mickey tried to jump off a building yesterday? Someone mailed an anonymous letter to Mickey's school accusing him of being a homewrecker. The scandal blew up, and Mickey tried to jump to prove his innocence. He was saved, but now his emotions are very unstable. Ethan, I'll just ask you once. Was that letter sent by you?" I was shocked. Then I understood, disbelief overwhelming me. "Serafina, you think I sent that letter? We've been together 8 years. Don't you know what kind of person I am?" I was furious, so wronged it drove me to madness. But Serafina's voice remained unervingly calm. "If it wasn't you, why are you getting so worked up? I've agreed to the wedding. Just start preparing." Then she hung up. I sent her messages afterward, but she avoided the topic completely. Time was slipping away, so I stopped concerning myself with Mickey's suicide attempt. I busied myself, determined to organize a wedding in just 2 weeks. During those 2 weeks, I didn't see Serafina even once. Fittings for the groom's suit and her wedding dress were done separately. In our chats, she only replied once every 3 days. When I asked, she just said she was too busy finishing up her project, so I stopped pressing her, shouldering all the preparations myself. not letting Serafina worry about a thing. At last, the wedding day arrived. I stood in my groom's suit, waiting from morning till night, my hope turning to despair. The seats for the bride's family remained empty. I called Serafina 100 times, no answer. Only one new voice message sat quietly in my inbox. Ethan, I gave you a chance. If you had admitted on the phone that you were the one who sent the letter and immediately apologized to Mickey, I would have attended the wedding. I would have still been your bride. But now it's too late. I won't come to the wedding, and I won't marry you. This is your punishment for bullying Mickey. Chapter 5. Serafina's reckless willfulness cost me my mother's life and severed my 8-year relationship with her. After the funeral, I accepted my company's transfer order and took a position at a new branch. During that time, I sold my house as quickly as possible. Then, carrying the little that remained of my belongings, I left City C. Before boarding the plane, I opened Serafina's WeChat moments one last time. Her latest post, uploaded just 10 minutes earlier, was a video of her skiing abroad with Mickey, both of them laughing joyfully, faces glowing. I immediately blocked and deleted all her accounts and phone numbers. Blinking, I snapped back to the present, tossing those painful memories behind me. In front of me, Saul saw that I wasn't responding and sneered. Ethan, you're almost 30. Aren't you still acting like some character from a novel, disappearing without a trace? You've been hiding for nearly a year now just to make my sister pity you and agree to marry you again, haven't you? Hearing that, I froze for a moment, then suddenly burst out laughing. I raised my hand, waving it in front of Saul. Sorry, I like to keep things low-key, so when I got married, I didn't throw a big wedding. Don't overthink it. The glittering diamond ring stunned Saul into blankness. Then, realizing what I had just said, his expression turned hideous. What did you just say? You're married? Ethan, how dare you? How are you going to explain this to my sister? Seeing that he couldn't understand plain words, my smile faded. The Yinti department is on the 3rd floor. The elevator is right there. Why don't you go down and get yourself checked? If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving. My wife is waiting for me. I was about to walk away when Saul tried to block me again. I shot him a cold glare. Saul, if you keep pestering me, I'll call the police. I didn't lower my voice when I said it, so the family members waiting in the corridor turned their heads to look. Saul quickly released me. I took 2 steps forward and suddenly saw a familiar figure, one hand resting on her belly, smiling. I waved and called out, Wife, before hurrying over, carefully supporting Anya. How are you? What did the doctor say? The doctor said everything's normal, told me to rest and wait for delivery. What about you? How's the car? What did the traffic police say? When we came to the hospital today, the parking lot was full, so I had left the car outside. Later, I got a call from the traffic police. Someone had crashed into my car. It was a kid, just a scratch on the paint, but the kid's parents insisted it was my fault for parking outside. Then the police checked the surveillance and found it was clearly their son. Anya sighed and stroked her belly gently. Sweet daughter, don't you ever become like that bratty kid, okay? I laughed, squeezing her hand gently. And how do you know it's a girl? Anya gave a tender smile. Because I like girls. After leaving City C, in order to forget my painful past, I threw myself completely into building up the new company. But I worked so hard that one day I collapsed on the street. It was Anya, passing by on a field survey, who saved me. She took me to the hospital and spent 3 days caring for me. By the time I thought of properly thanking her, she was already gone, leaving me only her name. Later, when the company stabilized and I received a promotion, my boss granted me a 10-day vacation to reward my hard work. I chose to travel to my mother's hometown, and there I ran into Anya once again. From then on, we naturally became a couple and eventually got married. It all happened quickly, yes, but in this relationship, all I have felt is genuine happiness. Saul's stunned gaze lingered on me for a long time, but I didn't care. I had no desire to ever be entangled with their family again. Chapter 6. After that day, I never saw Saul again, and gradually the memory of that conversation faded. My life now was happy and full, a beautiful, gentle wife and a baby on the way. If Mom could see my life now, she would be glad for me. But I never expected Serafina to come looking for me. My wife was 35 weeks pregnant, in her 3rd trimester, and I often walked with her in the neighborhood plaza. This was an upscale complex. Plenty of rich kids and celebrities had homes here. The security was usually very responsible. They'd even bring deliveries in. So when I suddenly ran into Serafina, I was startled and frowned at her. "How did you get in here?" I asked. Serafina looked straight at me. Her gaze slowly dropped to my wife's belly. Her deep eyes reddened in an instant. I even saw a trace of tears. Actually, ever since seeing Saul, I'd had a vague premonition that Serafina and I would meet again. I just didn't expect it to be so soon, nor did I expect to feel utterly calm facing her. I knew then that I had truly let Serafina go. "Ethan, what did you treat me? Our relationship?" As, she demanded. "You marry another woman so quickly and already have a child? Did you ever ask me? Have you considered my feelings?" Her questions came one after another. Her voice was hoarse, as if she'd eaten a sack of chili. To be honest, I felt no anger listening to her, only amusement. It had only been a year. Could Serafina selectively forget who was right and who was wrong, as if I were the one who had wronged her? I put my wife slightly in front of me and looked at Serafina with a half-smile. "Yes, yes. The one who promised to marry you and then didn't show up at the wedding was obviously some alternate version of you. Our pure, innocent Miss Jean is blameless." How ridiculous. "Serafina, who do you think you are to me? I got married and had a child. Do I need to file an application with you first?" I glanced at my watch. There were 5 minutes left before the exercise ended. I told my wife to go home first. I couldn't continue in such an unlucky mood. As we turned to leave, Serafina blocked our way. She and Saul truly were siblings. Even their hobby of stopping people was the same. Seeing Serafina step closer, I reflexively covered my wife's belly and snapped, "Stop. Don't come any closer." Serafina realized her loss of composure and halted. As if stung by my protectiveness, she forced a bitter smile and said, "I didn't mean anything. I just wanted to have a proper talk with you. I never intended to break up with you. I wanted to punish you. That anonymous letter you wrote nearly killed Mickey. He threatened to call the police and accuse you of slander. I couldn't just watch you get arrested. I couldn't stay indifferent. I thought if we can't get married that time, then we'll do it next time. But I didn't expect you to give me no chance at all." I understood then. All the chain reaction had started from Serafina's presumptions. After 8 years together, when trouble arose, her first response was to question and probe me. She never thought to trust me. Serafina's words came out incoherent. Her eyes were bloodshot, and she looked pitiable, but I felt nothing but disgust. I cut her off without hesitation. "Are you done?" I said. "After 8 years, you'd rather believe someone you've known for 3 months than trust me? What right do you have to question me? You make it sound noble. Mickey tried to kill himself. You thought I sent the anonymous letter, so you were afraid I'd be arrested? I wish you had reported me back then and had me arrested. At least then I wouldn't have been smeared by you people for so long. I waited from morning till night on our wedding day. I called you 100 times. What I got in return was humiliation, shame, and my mother's life. I told you my mom was dying and that she wanted to see me married before she left. I begged you, even if it meant putting on an act, just cooperate this once. But you destroyed everything, and you killed her." My face was calm, but my voice broke with sobs. I had never imagined Serafina would, for such an absurd reason, let me walk alone through those humiliating, unbearable days. That wedding was the most regrettable decision I had ever made in my life. Chapter 7. Serafina tried to explain. "When Mickey tried to jump, we checked the surveillance. I saw men with a similar build to yours. He was even wearing clothes like yours, so I thought, did you actually see that person's face with your own eyes? Did you actually hear that person speak?" Serafina went pale and shook her head. I was furious and hurt. There are so many people with similar builds, and so many people wear the same clothes. You put those two things together and think I would grandly send that letter? Don't you find that strange? Don't you think someone deliberately arranged for you to see that? I can't believe you didn't consider that. Yet you stubbornly pinned the blame on me with not a shred of evidence. Compared to me, someone you've been with for 8 years and are tired of, you prefer your younger junior fellow. So all you can think about is getting justice for him. Serafina seemed about to argue, but I cut her off immediately. Don't deny it. Our wedding was ruined, and when I left City C, you were in Switzerland skiing with Mickey, weren't you? That's it. I don't want any contact with you. Please leave." Hearing that, Serafina staggered for a moment, then steadied herself and slowly shook her head. "No, I came here today to take you away. I admit I was wrong before. Let me take care of you from now on, Ethan. Let me make it up to you. I stepped forward and slapped her hard. Serafina wore the bright red finger marks and forced a smile. If hitting me makes you feel better, if it will make you forgive me, then hit me more. One slap is already disgusting enough. If I hit you again, this hand would be useless. I took a wet wipe from my small bag and, in front of Serafina, cleaned each finger one by one. Watching that, Serafina's eyes stung. Ethan, do you really want to be so distant with me? She asked. I still love you. Just get a divorce, and I'll accept you and your child. I'll raise her as my own. I gave a cold laugh. Serafina, you're full of hot air. What use are your promises? I took out my phone and called property management to have Serafina escorted out. Seeing how merciless I was, Serafina's voice trembled as she called my name. I ignored her. Security soon arrived and led Serafina away. Watching her being taken with her arms restrained, leaving in such an embarrassed state, I turned my gaze away calmly. Later, the head of community security came to my door, carrying a small fruit basket to explain. Serafina had been able to get in because she bribed a new security guard. That guard had since been dismissed and will never be hired again. On the way home, Anya gripped my hand anxiously. Honey, are you okay? She asked. I thought for a moment and decided to tell her that Serafina had come by. Anya and I had only known each other for about a year, but she was sincere and wholehearted. She held nothing back with me. 1 month into our relationship, I saw a post about counting moles and, curious, asked Anya how many moles she had. Blushing, she leaned in and told me the number. Later in bed, when she was in a playful mood, she'd excitedly point to the moles on her shoulder and chest and make me count them. Once I'd counted them all, she'd cuddle me and act spoiled. Honey, I would never lie to you, she'd say. Anya always knew about my 8-year relationship. I had briefly told her what happened, before she held me and said we would have many more 8-year stretches together. I was someone who needed affection. Anya had helped me recover from the double blow of losing my mother and my breakup. Anya was undeniably important. Chapter 8. After what happened today, I felt a familiar relief. Would you like me to use different names, or perhaps modify another text for you? Anya furrowed her brows and began packing clothes. Seeing her suddenly rushing about, I asked, What are you doing? Anya's face was serious. Honey, I'm afraid that woman will come disturb us again. Let's move to my parents' place. They've been urging us for a while, and besides, there are maids, helpers, and security there. She wouldn't be able to get anywhere near you. Seeing her acting as if we were facing a great enemy, I stepped forward and pinched her cheek. What are you afraid of? She doesn't dare do anything to me, and so what if she comes? If she comes once, I'll drive her away once. But in the end, I still went with Anya, bringing the maternity bag back to her family home. My father and mother-in-law were delighted at our arrival. Even Anya's eldest brother, always busy and in control of the family business empire, came home for a visit. We lived very comfortably there. Only occasionally did I receive messages from the neighborhood manager on my phone, saying someone was looking for me. I knew who it was. I simply told the manager to drive her away. At 38 weeks pregnant, Anya's checkup showed reduced amniotic fluid and the baby might be in danger. A date was set for an early section. When the surgery was done, our daughter was born. I watched in bliss as Anya nursed the baby, her parents surrounding her, their faces filled with delight as they gazed at the newborn. Looking at that scene, I felt like I had been reborn. On the 3rd day in the hospital, I went downstairs to pick up medicine. When I returned, I heard a sudden uproar in the ward. Anya and Serafina were fighting. Nurses stood anxiously nearby. Several patients' family members tried to intervene, but couldn't get in between them. I stared in shock and shouted for them to stop. The moment Anya heard my voice, she froze and released Serafina, but Serafina took the chance to slap Anya hard across the face. Anya winced in pain, baring her teeth, then looked at me with aggrieved eyes. I couldn't take it anymore. I strode over to Serafina and slapped her twice. This slap is for my wife. This one is for myself. My wife just gave birth and you dare come disturb my peace, Serafina? Where are your manners? Without looking at Serafina's expression, I pulled Anya back into the ward. From Anya, I learned that Serafina had shown up at the hospital early that morning, lurking in the nursery, staring furtively, and even trying to touch our baby. At first, Anya thought the woman was a kidnapper, so she fought back. Only during the scuffle did she realize it wasn't a kidnapper. It was a romantic rival. I couldn't believe Serafina would be this crazy, this obsessive, that she would actually find us here. Even so, I still had no intention of meeting her. That changed on the day my wife was discharged. I bundled Anya and the baby up tightly and went downstairs. By the front gate, I ran into Serafina, drawn, exhausted, her face drained of color. When she saw me, she strode over, voice pleading. "Ethan, I want to talk. Can you give me a few minutes?" I decided it was time to have one serious conversation with Serafina. If I didn't deal with this, who could stand being disturbed like this again and again? I glanced at Anya. She held the baby and gave a disgruntled little huff. "Go ahead. I'll wait here a few meters away." Serafina looked years older than the last time I'd seen her, a few white hairs showing at her temple. I couldn't say I felt anything but that she deserved it. I looked at her seriously. "Serafina, I hope this is the last time we talk. I told you I have my own life now. Stop clinging to the past. I never wronged you. Your stalking and harassment are no different from torturing me." Serafina's eyes were rimmed with red, her lips pale as she hurried to speak. "Ethan, is there really no chance for us? A few days ago, I went back to City C, and I kicked Mickey out of the lab. He pretended to be senile and staged things to ruin our relationship. I wouldn't let him. Later, he latched onto another senior sister. She was already married and wouldn't put up with him. I admit I once wavered in this relationship, but I've realized clearly, I love you. I only love you." Listening to Serafina confess like that, something she'd never done before, I felt nothing but a weary coldness. What use was it now? I refused her again without hesitation. The rift between us is not something your momentary wavering can fix. When I see you, I see the image of my mother dying in my arms. When I see you, I have nightmares. Serafina's lips trembled. The tears she had held back finally fell. I said nothing more. I turned and walked back to my wife and daughter. I had found my happiness. This was my happiness. Would you like me to continue the story, or do you have another modification you'd like me to perform on this text?